Peace family, it's BroLogas here on this spiritual Sunday, and today I want to talk about the spirits that are plaguing America, since that's where I live, right? The main spirits. I talk about how you cannot change a system unless you change the spirits. Just like you cannot change a person unless you change the spirit, right? It's difficult even when you reprogram somebody. Sometimes if you reprogram them long enough, you can inadvertently change that spirit, but it can become very difficult when you change the spirit of a people. And you can see that with missionaries. You change the spirit of a people, then you can change who they are. You can change their system of doing things, how they do things. So let's go into the spirits that plague, and I'm just going to use names or labels. These are really just all labels. We look at them as names, but they just kind of represent the characteristic of these spirits, just like how an enzyme and a protein and an antioxidant are really all the same thing. They just have different characteristics, but they're all microorganisms. So the main spirit, we'll start with the first one, the main one. The main one that plagues America is Set. Now, Set is someone that you could find in the Egyptian texts, right? We can also call Set the devil as well, right? So the devil or Set is the main spirit. Why? Because that is the spirit of deceit, right? And the deceit that Set has placed upon America, or that America was built on, actually I'll say, I wouldn't say placed upon it, what it was built on is deceit, is the American dream, because that dream is not real, and that dream is based off of capitalism, democracy, equality. And as we have always seen, there's racism, there's inequality, not just among pockets of people here and there. I mean, that happens. But we're talking about as a system itself. That's what it's built off of. Democracy is not really a democracy now, is it? Because the government and then those with certain amount of clout and power and money actually control the quote-unquote democracy. And then capitalism, which is this idea that everyone has an opportunity to make their own way. In one perspective, you do have the ability to create what you want to create, but on another perspective, you don't, because there's so many gatekeepers in a lot of areas that are purposely put there, as well as there's so many stipulations that are purposely placed to keep from too many people being able to survive on their own. So you have to be dependent upon this system. So this American dream, even if you can achieve the family and the white picket fence, can be taken away from you, and it's taken away from people all the time. The 2008, 2009 economy crash showed us that the American dream is just that. It's a dream. It's not real. But it is a very good illusion that you can fall into, right? And what else do we know about dreams? You don't really have control of your dream now, do you? Until you become aware of the dream. Then you have some form of manipulation, but then even then, eventually you got to wake up. And that's one of the things I'm trying to help us do, just to wake up from the dream, from the illusion that Set or the devil has placed, or that this nation was built on. So now we're going to the next major spirit that plagues America, and that is Sebek. Now, Sebek, once again, is another Egyptian deity. I'm using these because they just help to describe what I'm trying to convey. This spirit is the spirit of separatism. This is the spirit of racism. This is the spirit of classism. This is the spirit of casteism, or skin tones. This is the spirit of separation of religions and cultures. This is the separation of church and state. This is the separation of health, food versus medicine, separatism. This is the power and this is the hindrance of Sebek. We look at everything as separate from each other. That's why we have such a hard time trying to balance money and family and spirituality, because we look at them all as separate instead of a together holistic system that represents all of them. You dig? So as long as we look at things as separate from each other, as unrelatable, unrelated, even incidences that we see where someone may shoot up an entire concert, right? Or an entire school or a mosque or some type of religious establishment, and we look at that as separate. It's separate. It's not a part of anything bigger than that. It's just a lone wolf, you know? It creates issues because we don't want to look at the holistic concept behind it, where it came from, how it started, why it's there in the first place. We look at illnesses and we look at it as, well, you know, that's separate. That's just your genetic predisposition. And then we never get down to the core of the issue of what's causing that sickness for you and for so many other people across the nation. Separatism, Sebek. The next big spirit that's plaguing America is the jealous God. You can find this God in the Bible, the jealous God. What do I mean by the jealous God? The jealous God is one that cannot accept the other religions. The Hindus, the Buddhists, the Christians, the different sects of Christianity, the Islam, the Netters, the Yorubas, the Voodoo, the Santerias, right? The jealous God cannot accept these other beliefs. Is my belief above all? And that plagues this nation, where we look at, if you believe in something else, that you have a different viewpoint, that you're wrong, that it's evil, that it's going to send you to hell, that it's, you know, whatever it is that we, whatever negative light we want to put it on, right? The jealous God. Some people's God is money. That's what they worship. That's what they pray to. That's what they pray for. And then we condemn those people as well. The jealous God. This is why we go to war, or ready to go to war with someone because of their religious beliefs. We believe that because they have a different religious belief, that means they're a threat to us, the jealous God. Or if someone uses their spiritual beliefs to get what they want or desire in life, they're able to manifest things using their prayers, their rituals, right? Their spells. And we feel that that's wrong because you can't do it. You don't know how to do it. My God doesn't do those type of things. Therefore, what you're doing is evil, is wrong, is devilish. The jealous God. Jealous of what someone else has. And not only are we jealous as far as religious, we're jealous just because of what someone else has. Your relationship, your money, your job, your clothes, your knowledge, your information, your notoriety, right? Whether or not they're truly happy or not, we're not even worried about that part. We're just worried about you have what I don't have. Sometimes you might have what I have, but I feel like what you have might be a little bit better than what I have. The jealous God, jealousy. I'm in a relationship with you, but I see you talking to someone else, just having a conversation, but they're of the opposite sex. Or maybe, you know, the same sex, whatever you're into. And now I'm jealous because I feel like y'all have a connection. Or y'all connecting. I want to be connected with you. The jealous God. ruins a lot of relationships, ruins a lot of partnerships, breaks groups apart, organizations, nations apart, the jealous God. The next spirit that plagues us, you would call Lilith. She comes out of the Bible. I think maybe one of like the lost Bibles, lost book. Or you can call her Oya. We'll separate them. We'll say Lilith, Oya, Sekhmet, right? Now, especially people who know about Oya and Sekhmet, these are protective spirits and energies, right? These are also feminine spirits and energies, including Lilith. And they can be very cold. They can be very destructive. And they're not too good when it comes to relationships. They're not the relationship energies that you're looking for. And it's actually a big fuel, a big and motivating or inspiring factor when it comes to feminism, when it comes to this separation between man and woman, this battle that's going on. When it comes to this concept of strong, independent woman, there's nothing wrong with that. But it's got to a point where it's damaged a lot of relationships and families, and actually it's keeping families from even really coming together and stabilizing in the first place. It's creating a coldness. It's keeping a lot of people, men and women, from being able to open up to each other, being able to share their hearts with each other. Or maybe one side might do it, but then the other side can't join them. Another spirit that's plaguing America is the spirit of Jesus. In particular, the Lamb of Jesus, the Lamb of God. Who's the Lamb sit with? The Lamb hangs out with the wolf or the lion. The Bible would say the wolf, but some people will say the lion. But we know that the lion nor the wolf are nice animals when it comes to prey. So we know that the lion is going to eat a lamb. We know that a wolf is going to eat a lamb. We know that Jesus sacrificed himself, in specific his heart. So there are a lot of individuals here in America, especially of certain races and ethnic groups, who are trying to sacrifice themselves, give of themselves to the lions and the wolves of this nation, hoping that we can work together, hoping that by me showing you my underbelly, by me giving myself up, by me allowing you to be the lion and be the wolf, that you will spare me. But that is not how the lion or the wolf works. So as you can see, I'm not talking about, I'm not focused on necessarily peacefulness, because that wouldn't be realistic. War is very prevalent. Even in your own body, it's always going to war to fight diseases. So fighting and going to war is part of health. You understand? So anyway, that's plaguing a big portion of us, because how can you domesticate or put in control the wolf and the lion if the people that are being damaged, that are being preyed upon, are all being sacrificial lambs? Then the lion and the wolf will continue to be the lion and the wolf, because the lamb is not going to put them into their place. You understand? The next big spirit that's plaguing this nation is Zeus or Odin, the dictators, the energies that want to run everything, especially from the masculine standpoint. The heartless, the consumers, consumption. I believe Zeus or Odin, one of them, ate some of their own children just to hold on to power. Power hungry. And we can see that's what America is built on. America not only is people in power always looking for more power to consume more power, but America as a whole is always looking to consume more countries and consume anyone who can possibly have the strength to consume America. Just like Zeus, who was afraid that one of his children would kill him. So then he tries to kill all of his children. But of course, by you trying to consume all of your children or consume others, you're not going to be able to get everybody. And then because you don't get everybody and because you consuming others creates this divide, creates this animosity, eventually you will be consumed. That's just how it works. Or you will be defeated, or you will be overthrown. The next spirit or energy that is plaguing America is the reptilian spirit. Now, you hear this a lot in like conspiracy type videos and Illuminati type videos, things like that, right? But they're talking about like these physical reptilian beings. I'm not talking about physical reptilian beings, but there is a reptilian spirit or energy upon America that causes us to be cold-hearted, cold-blooded, a machine business-oriented type of world, type of nation, as well as this constant feeling of abandonment. And we see it all the time where fathers and mothers are abandoning their children. Families are always being broken up. Children have to fend for themselves in a sense. You put them in school as growing up, you put them in daycare, you're abandoning your children. Abandonment. Let them figure it out. Let them deal with the trials and tribulations of the world. And then you have molestation and you have child abuse and you have, all of these things. Abandonment. That's what the reptile does. It gives birth to the eggs, to the baby, and then leaves it and let them fend for themselves. Therefore, the cycle continues. So the child's like, well, if I got to fend for myself, then why would I care about any other snake or any other turtle or, They all just do their own things. It's a lot different from mammals, right? They take care of each other. They nurture each other. But the reptilians, reptiles, you're on your own. Another big spiritual energy that plagues a lot of Americans is the Judas energy. That's the selling out energy. Selling out those who come to save us or who come to help us, who come to shed light upon us. Just like Judas sold out Jesus, right? The selling one's soul for money, like Judas did, for the shillings, right? The sellout, that's just you see it all the time. The selling out one's beliefs and spiritual practices and principles just to make a dollar, just to get a job, just to, impress somebody. Maybe just to, just to save your life. You sell out what you believe in. Sell out. Another big spirit that plagues America is the vengeful god, or Ares, the god of war. Now, there's nothing wrong with, protecting yourself, even preemptive protection. But we have gone beyond that. America is way beyond that. America is about war. America is about smiting. those who don't even deserve it, just because someone needs to be smited for this act that was caused upon us, and to the point to where even some things are even manufactured. Certain circumstances, situations are manufactured just to create war. Money sometimes that's part of the money-making system, is going to war. Constructed, war itself is a business plan. War, or being able to conquer somebody, is a part of some people's religion, or some people's way of happiness, making them feel good about themselves. There's a lot of people like that who want to hurt and conquer others. It happens a lot in relationships. Behind closed doors, it happens a lot to children. People trying to conquer their children. Sometimes physically, sometimes verbally, sometimes spiritually. And then, especially when one gets embarrassed, we want to retaliate with war. Instead of trying to understand the embarrassment in the first place. Another big spirit that plagues this nation, especially in the women's world, is the Cinderella Spirit. Cinderella and well, as you know, the Cinderella story, you have the stepmother, you have the stepsisters, right? And essentially what you have is a lot of catfighting. You have a lot of individuals trying to be better than the other. You have a big level of jealousy of Cinderella. You don't want to give her just the hand-me-downs. You want her to exist. You really only want her to be there just so that you can feel good about yourself having more than them. At the same time, the Cinderella kind of represents the epitome of beauty, this natural beauty. And you can see that in the life. You can see that in America. There's certain people, I won't say specifically, there's certain people who look a certain way who represent this beauty. And then there's another group who, even though they have their beauty as well, but show a certain level of vitriol and jealousy towards this other group of women. And they want to keep those other group of women underneath their thumb. And when those women start to get shine and get notoriety and get praise and get looked upon, especially by a certain group of men, it doesn't go too well. It doesn't sit too well for them. And they do very spiteful things. One group of women do very spiteful things to another group of women, especially as they get older and become into that age of stepmother type of age to the younger stepchild. So another energy that is a spirit that's plaguing America would be the Lucifer energy, the shining star. We can see the shining star as far as politicians, celebrities, especially though, professional athletes, shining stars, right? But the thing about Lucifer is Lucifer goes against God, right? Lucifer is rebellious. Lucifer also convinces some of the other angels, some of the other shining stars, you can call them, to follow his lead. So we could see that as far as, like, you might say, like Antichrist type people, or those who pretend to be Jesus type figure and they create these cults. We see a lot of those. Even though we see it even in politics, so we see it in celebrities, of those people start, or even influencers, they start creating these dynamics and they create this big, cult following that has nothing to do with the true betterment of humanity, but had to do with their own selfish wants and beliefs and desires, right? But because they shine a certain way, or maybe they have a certain amount of money, or they say certain things, or look a certain way, we follow them. Even if it goes against our core beliefs, even if it goes against what we know to be right and wrong. We even do that as a nation, collectively, following one's national leaders because they're on TV. They are the shining star. So we're willing to go and battle even against God or God's principles. I guess that's why they say don't look into the light. Now, here's an energy or spirit that's becoming more prevalent. You have Mary, the prostitute. And then you have Cleopatra. Like, once again, I'm just using these not necessarily as physical people, but as just the energy that they represent. They represent a high level of sexual energy. And that's becoming more and more prevalent. And you're starting to see it actually now being, it was more utilized on the, I guess, the masculine side or exploited, but now it's being exploited by the feminine side too a lot, where women are feeling empowered by it, right? They're using it to get what they want. They're using it for their protection. They're using it for their security, whether it be physical security, financial security, you know. Some are even using it for their spiritual security or in spiritual ways to get what they want, right? So it's becoming very, very prevalent. It's not so much that just people are being brainwashed or programmed, it's the actual spirit of these sexual beings that's being downloaded into us. So that sex is no longer a sacred thing, or becoming less and less of a sacred thing. It already was becoming less and less to begin with, becoming more and more of just a common practice, just something that people do every day, less like eating. Another big spirit that's plaguing America is the Cupid spirit, or the Eros spirit, right? This is the spirit, one of falling in and out of love, being shot by the arrow. So there's no really rhyme or reason. You just boom are in love. So there's no structure to it. So if you fall in it, you can fall right out of it. The second thing is pedophilia is associated with. You have the Cupid, the small baby child, spreading sexual romantic love. And then you also have the homosexuality aspect of it as well. And whether you believe it's right or wrong is up to you. I'm not going to tell you which one it is, because it's perspective. But what I will say, the reason why it has increased is because of the spirit. So if you want to know why it's increasing, it's the spirit of pedophilia, homosexuality. You want to know why people fall in and out of love so quickly? It's the spirit of Cupid, of being shot by the bow and arrow. No rhyme or reason, just is. This is just for you to understand. The other spirit that's plaguing us more on the masculine side of things is Sango, and I'll say Jack the Ripper. These are just representations, remember. So we look at Sango's womanizer. You see a lot of womanizers, right? The players, the max. Doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing, but there's a lot of men who are not necessarily using it for a good thing per se. But there's also women who are using it as well. We'll see it in even the lesbian, homosexual community. You'll see a lot of women using a lot of other women, playing these player and mackish type games. You also have Jack the Ripper. Now, Jack the Ripper was an abuser of women, and we've seen a lot of abuse being inflicted upon women in a lot of relationships. question is, why do we see that? Because of this spirit that is passed on. Even if you haven't necessarily gone through such trauma, just to be an offspring of these people passes that spirit on to you. It's a deep thing. Now, the last spirit and the most prevalent spirit coming into this day and time is the spirit of AI, the artificial intelligence, which beyond that is the singularity perspective. This is us merging with machines type spirit. And as we begin to continue to merge with these machines, we have a choice on how to utilize this spirit. We can't really run away from this one. Just like you can't really run away from any spirit. You have to face it head on. The question is, how are you going to utilize it? How are you going to control it? So because we're merging into this singularity, we're coming into this singularity of information, of knowledge, of wisdom. And I'm able to share with you, as many people have shared with me, so that we can shuffle through it, the information through the spirits, and replace or reconfigure or realign or redistribute the power from one group of spirits to another group of spirits that we find or deem more beneficial to our growth and to our development. Even if it's just to our own spirit to be free. That is how I'm utilizing AI, the spirit of AI. Because AI is about singularity, so I'm tapping into the all so that I can activate my all. Make sense? I know I went over a lot of spirits. These are the main ones. You can always find other ones as well, but these are the main ones that are controlling how this nation operates. So if you truly, this is just advice, because if you truly want to be able to change, if you really want change, if you truly want to change things, you gotta know what the spirits are. That way you can break the contracts with these spirits, and then we can change the direction of which we've been going. We can change the trajectory instead of going through these cycles, just on different levels as the technology grows. I hope this helps. I'll try to do another video on which spirits we want to bring into the fold. Peace.